Hi guys, Peter Howells here again. Thank you for joining me for the second vlog. So today we plan to try and build a bit of a shelter in our orchard. Yeah, I built a bench. I'm going to be building another bench soon, so I'll show you how I did that in a couple of days, weeks. But yeah, so today we're going to build a shelter. Let's go for it. So at the bottom of our garden, we've got a sort of small lake. And through the bottom of our garden, through a little gate that I've made, we enter the orchard. So what we've decided to do here in the orchard is create paths through the grass. One, because it'll just take too much time to mow this all the time, but also two, because we can start having sort of natural wildflowers and things like that growing, which is good for the wildlife. And then we can kind of create a sort of a wildlife walk through the tall grass. So at the top of the orchard, basically we've cut a lot of the wood down at the back. So at the back here there was a lot of trees. As you can see, they're sort of cut there, a lot of trees blocking a lot of the light, which was killing some of our bigger fruit trees, just because they weren't getting any light. So this winter we've cut a lot of these trees down. Obviously we've left some, and what the idea is that the others will sort of regrow, and then in a couple of years time we'll cut them back again. But as you can see, we've managed to stack and cut a lot of wood, which we'll season and hopefully use in the winter. So the plan today, guys, is to try and flatten out or level out a piece of land at the corner here, and we want to put a little hut or a little shelter so that we can put my bench that I made underneath, and hopefully be able to sit here and look back down at the orchard and the lake. We are going to use, there's wood that we cut down here that I haven't chopped up yet. I need to pull out some big pieces of wood to try and use as the posts for the shelter. First thing that I've tried to do is just level off underneath. I know the legs aren't particularly straight, but level off the bench as best we can on the ground. And now we're going to start cutting some posts and building a frame around it. So I've started digging 2 posts in. I've used one of these tools to obviously just dig a hole. It's actually quite a good tool, so I would recommend, if you're putting posts in, it's probably worth buying. I've put 2 posts in so far, and I've made sure there's an angle because we're going to obviously have the roof on the back here, and we want it to angle it away. So I've put the first 2 in, and the next step is to put the other 2 the other side. We're going to be digging the next hole. Obviously this tool just sort of expels the earth that you don't want. So all of the earth I'm going to keep to one side because I'm going to use that earth to pack back into the post. We're not using any concrete or anything else like that. I'm just using purely what we have here and the ground that's here already. So I've now on the 4th hole, so I've dug a hole, I've stuck my post in it. I'm just going to sort of double check. Lengthways I need at least 110, which I've got. This way I need at least 170, which I've got about 160. With these sort of projects, I'm not too worried about being accurate because it's about the rustic look, and also because the poles aren't straight, it's very difficult to get everything absolutely perfect angles, perfect lengths, because I'm working with natural wood. So I'm doing my best. I'm making sure I've got enough space for the roof to go on, but I'm pretty happy with where we are now. So again, we're not using any concrete or anything else like that. I've dug a hole, as you can see here, and all I'm going to do is literally put the soil back in, and as I put it in, just push around the post so it's nice, strong and secure. They're quite solid in the ground. So yes, okay, they might rot, but they'll probably rot 5-10 years time. By that time we might want to change it, we might want to pull it down, put something different here. Everything that I do here is about using natural resources and what we've got given here, and trying to keep it as minimal, minimal kind of man-made stuff really. So there we are, I'll carry on filling this hole. So we've got some old corrugated iron. One of the advantages of buying a property in France is the French don't throw anything away, so you get left with bits and pieces, hopefully in the barns and things like that. So we're going to use these two pieces that are really just sort of scrap and I haven't used them before. I've measured them up, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to have one overlapping the other on the roof, and it's going to kind of be this size here. So I've marked it up on the edges there. I've got my angle grinder, I've got my safety gear, so now I'm going to cut it. So I've just run it across the top here, really just to get rid of the sharp edges that I've created. It's still a bit sharp, so I might file it down as well, but it was just to get rid of the loose bits of metal there. What I've done now is I've just measured the distance between these two posts, and I've just started to build a frame at the top which is going to house the roof. So I put one on the front, two on the sides, and I'm about to do the one on the back. Again, all I've really done is kept it simple. I've just screwed a screw through the branch and through the trunk here as well. I have put some supporting brackets on this one just because, to add a little bit of extra support, because this will be taking more weight of the roof as there's no post here. I'm just drilling the last beam at the in now with help from one of my cats. Just put these on top, they're just loose at the moment. Obviously I've used corrugated iron, but if you don't have this free or available, or you don't want to buy that, you can buy sort of the bamboo fence that you get in garden centres, and you could put that on top as well and it would do the same thing. So the next task now is just to see where the iron is, where the corrugated iron, and where I want to put some drill holes in order to secure it to the frame that I've made on the top. With corrugated iron, you should always drill at the top part, not at the bottom part. That's because the water will sink in the bottom and go through, whereas if you have it in the top part, it will run off and not go through. So always drill through the top. And yeah, so I'm going to now mark, drill some holes and then secure it to the frame. So I'm just marking underneath here. Having looked, I mean, you can sort of screw holes, but to be honest with you, I found it easier just to punch a nail through. So I'm just going to mark here, turn it on the ground, punch a nail through, and that will give me my holes to screw down. I've turned this upside down, so of course I'm hitting the nail in the sort of lower part of the ridge, but obviously when I turn it back upside down, that would then be the higher part of the ridge. So literally nail in, whack in, pull out, move on. It's probably a lot easier than trying to drill a screw hole. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using a washer and a screw and then putting it on, only so it's got a bit of extra support on the, to hold it in, but also because it will sort of also stop an element of the water going down as well. So again, maybe you don't have to use a washer, but I've used it and I think it just helps with it. If you're looking at this roof, you may want to put something on it to sort of hide it. So if you're building something in your garden and you're sort of looking down on it, we may do this bit later, but haven't decided yet. But if you put some wood in the ridges, or even a stone, or you could just put soil on its own with nothing, but we'll probably put some wood, put some soil, and then you can put some succulents or anything that doesn't need very much soil or water, so alpine plants or anything else like that, and then you can make this as a bit of a green roof. Our plan is probably to put some on the front that will maybe drape down just to give it some coverage, and also just to help with wildlife and things like that. But yeah, you can do whatever you want. As you can see, the roof's on and it's solid. The structure itself is pretty solid, so I'm quite happy with that. So the next stage is, what I want to do is just put a back to this, just to kind of, I suppose, make it look a bit pretty as well. So I'm going to measure the back here, so we're talking about 160, and I'm going to put natural pieces of wood that we've cut down to fill the back and give it a backing. What I've done is I've just got some old lengths of wood and just screwed them to the back here. You could infill it a little bit more if you wanted to, to have, to sort of be able to not be able to see through as much as we've done here. But we've left it quite open, one because we'd like to see through, and two because we're going to put some photos up, and that'll block the view anyway. So the idea now is I've obviously got one picture up, and I'm just trying to get the other two pictures up, so I'm just putting a screw in here, and hopefully that should then be able to hang this one up. There we are. So this is the finished product. Obviously I've made it look nice with some candles and some soft furnishing, but it's pretty solid. It's got a roof on it, and obviously we've got the bench, and we can now sit out and enjoy the birds and the nature that we've got here in our orchard. Hope you enjoyed my vlog, and hope to see you again soon. Please leave any comments below. Next week I'll show you how to make these simple photo frames, quite rustic, but they look really good. See you again.